But can you actually love somebody and still say no? And the answer is yes. You can care deeply about somebody. You can care about their feelings so deeply without making yourself responsible for making sure that they are never disappointed, because you have absolutely no control over that. Okay? You can help somebody, okay, without feeling the need to rescue them every single time. Yes, you can. Okay? And also, if you're asking, can you forgive somebody and still change the access that they have to you? Absolutely. Yes, you can. You can. All right. Or maybe you're asking yourself, can you sacrifice for somebody you love? Of course, love requires sacrifice anyways, right? Because boundaries are not about becoming selfish or becoming cold or self-centered, okay? They are about learning the difference between love and fear, okay? Because there's a difference between love and fear, okay? There's a difference between sacrifice and losing yourself. There's also a difference between supporting somebody and rescuing them, all right? There's a difference between forgiveness and unlimited access. There is a difference between kindness and being unable to say no. And sugar, maybe, just maybe, the next time somebody asks something from you, please don't only ask yourself if I love the person, okay? Don't say, do I love this person? Ask yourself, what does loving this person wisely look like? Because wisdom is profitable to direct, okay? You need wisdom, all right? Sometimes loving them looks like a yes, and sometimes it looks like a no, all right? Sometimes loving them looks like making sacrifice. Sometimes loving them might actually look like showing up when it's very, very inconvenient. Okay. And maybe sometimes loving them might look like, see, I love you, baby. I understand why you want this so badly. I know you want this so very, very badly. But my answer is still going to be no, because no is a complete sentence. And that is because the goal of boundaries is not to make you cold, is not to keep everybody out of your life, is not to say I'm protecting my peace so I don't want anybody around me. The goal is to make healthy closeness possible without requiring you or one person to disappear completely, okay? You don't want to disappear. And you see, if you're in a relationship where the relationship can only stay peaceful when you have no limits, when you have no boundaries, when you never have to say no, or when you never disappoint them, or they don't ever feel disappointed, when you keep giving and giving and giving and you keep adjusting, and everything they do to you, you keep swallowing it even when it hurts, and you don't talk, that is not the kind of relationship you should be in the first place, okay? And I don't want you to call that peace either, okay? That's not peace. And if you want to call it peace, before you call it peace, I want you to ask yourself that this thing you're calling peace, is this relationship actually peaceful? Is it peaceful because we genuinely respect each other or care for each other? Or is it peaceful because I have learned not to say no, or because I've learned not to resist you or resist anything you want? I need you to think deeply about that, because you see, sometimes the boundary does not destroy the relationship. I need you to know that. If you're scared of setting boundaries in your relationship, then It's probably because you know that boundary will destroy that relationship. Boundary simply reveals the relationship that was already there. The boundary simply reveals what you have, the information you have, but you don't want to admit. And you see, I think that's where I want to leave this conversation. And I'm not saying that I want to leave this conversation with the idea that you need to go home and start fighting everybody, okay? Or start putting everybody in your life on notice. Hey, I now understand boundaries, okay? You need to get up and get out. You need to do, or you start saying no to everybody. No, please don't do that, okay? Maybe what you need to do is to pay attention, okay? Attention is very, very important. Maybe you've not been paying attention, but you can start with that, okay? Pay attention to the places where you keep saying yes when you really mean to say no. Do not say yes when you mean to say no. You need to also pay attention to the things that you keep doing for the people that you're secretly becoming resentful about. For people, you also need to pay attention to the relationships where you are so afraid to express your mind or what you need or what you really want from them because you're worried that having needs will make them leave. Okay? We all have needs. We all do. I need you to ask yourself, is there a conversation that I've been avoiding? Is there something I badly want to talk about? Is there something that I need to communicate more clearly? Is there something I want to tell this person that I badly want to tell them, but I'm afraid of telling them? Is there a boundary that I keep expecting somebody else to know or to respect that I myself haven't been respecting? Or is it that I'm assuming that they should know even when I've not told them, and then you get upset with them for not knowing what you didn't tell them? And if there is, then you don't have to become harsh, okay? You don't have to become cold. You don't have to assume that they should know. And you don't have to fight them for what they did not do, okay? You don't have to wake up tomorrow and become a completely different person. No, that will be you faking it, okay? That's a lot of energy, all right? You need to start small, okay? You don't have to fake it. You have to be real with yourself. Be kind, okay? And give yourself permission to learn, okay? Give yourself permission to learn. You need to understand that some of us are learning boundaries later in life. Some of us are learning boundaries because we have made mistakes, okay? Some of us are learning because nobody taught you yet. Some of us are learning because some of us learned that being loving men means you have to just give yourself away, all right? You have to be, always helping, always forgiving, always saying yes, always understanding. And now you're just learning that that is not necessarily true, okay? You're learning now that you can be a loving, beautiful, sweet, kind woman and you can still have limits, okay? You can be a very, attractive woman with sweet, big, banging body. You can be generous, okay? You can have the aura and everything and have wisdom with it, okay? You have wisdom with it. You can also be so soft, cold, calm, collected, gentle, kind, and you can still say no, all right? You can love people deeply, so deeply, and you don't have to lose yourself in the process, okay? So maybe, just maybe, what you need to take from this conversation is that loving people does not mean saying yes to them every time, okay? And most importantly, take this whatever you've learned from this conversation and practice it, okay? Because, like we always say here, knowing what to do is one thing when you know what, okay? Because information is everywhere. You can Google what boundaries means and you get 1,000 results before breakfast. But knowing how to actually do it, especially when you love the guy, when the guy is cute, when he's tall, dark, handsome, and rich, and he's God fearing, he goes to church, and he has six everything, then you need to watch out. And if this conversation helped you, if it's about relationship, or if it's making you see relationship a little different, I need you to understand that I am not here to shame you. I have other videos on this channel about relationships, about human behavior, about how we see people, and more importantly, how we see ourselves more clearly. All right. So take a look at some of those other videos when you're done here. And if you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, please, and share it with that beautiful, awesome woman in your life who might need it. Okay. If anybody is coming to your mind right now and you've probably told them this over and over again and they're not, it looks like they don't want to, they're not interested or something, you can go ahead and please share with them. And I pray that it would help them. All right. And until our next conversation, I want you to please love people. Love them well. Love them so well that everybody's asking, how are you able to love so well like this? But don't forget to leave enough room in that love for you too. One last thing that I want to say, okay? Loving someone and saying no to them is not a crime. Sometimes the best answer to give someone you love is a no, okay? Imagine you have a 5-year-old that you love so much, and then you decide to give him your car keys just because he's asking and he desires to drive you to the store. You see that? Or imagine you love your 10-year-old so much, and because you love them so much, you decide that you want to give them your car keys and let them take themselves to school because they think they are 10 now and they can do things for themselves because they're now double digits. You see that? So no does not necessarily means you hate them. You can say no to the people you love to protect them. You can say no to the people you love to protect the relationship. Even when they don't understand it now, they will come to understand it later. Okay? You cannot continue to say yes to your children by giving them chocolate and cake and sugar every time you will do something hurtful to them. All right? Even if they don't want to eat the veggies and the fruit and everything, and they only want to eat the candies and everything, you already know that if you say yes to them every time, you will not only get them in trouble, you would eventually get yourself in trouble. That is why we say no to the people we love. But another thing I want you to also look out for or pay attention to is how you say the no. All right. Sometimes we say no disrespectfully. Sometimes we wait until it's too late before you say the no. Sometimes you wait until you get in the act before you say the no. The best time to communicate boundaries is when everything is still calm, okay? At the beginning of the relationship, you can tell them, these are the things that I don't like, these are the things that I like, all right? And you don't go about telling the man that you're dating that you must not do this, You must not do this. No, no, that will be you controlling him. Okay, the way you set boundaries, the way you explain your boundaries to people is to tell them that whenever we have arguments, before the argument even happens, okay, whenever there's an argument, because you already understand that, you should tell him that there will be arguments in the relationship, except you both are acting, okay? If you're both real with each other, then there will be communication issues, okay? There will be arguments in the relationship. There will be times that you will disagree with each other. So at the beginning of the relationship, you need to explain to him that you need to ask him, how do you settle conflicts, okay? What do you think about conflicts? And then during that conversation, you bring it up that, okay, whenever there is a conflict, or whenever there's an argument, or whenever there is a disagreement, I don't appreciate it when people call me names. Because if you call me names, or if anyone calls me names when there is an argument, or when they are upset or angry, I will leave the conversation until they are calm. And you need to leave the moment that happens, okay? If that happens, you need to leave. You need to leave. Or rather, you don't say it, or rather, you don't tell them that this is a boundary that you have, then you tell them that it's your boundary and you don't do anything about it. That would be a suggestion, okay? If you meet a man and you know that this guy is so cute, you like him so much, and whenever he's around you, whether you're ovulating or not, you're just, everywhere is just, floody and all that, okay? My girlies understand what I'm saying. Or rather, you don't tell him that you have a 90-day rule of no intimacy, and then by the ninth hour, you're already in bed, okay? That would not serve you. Or rather, you don't say it, and if it happens, we're just going to assume that it happens because you wanted it, okay? Please do not set boundaries that you would not respect. Do not set boundaries because of the other person. Do not set boundaries because you want to show him that you have value. No. Do not set boundaries because you want to punish him. No, that will still be about him. Let your boundaries be about you. When your boundaries are about you, it is easier for you to control. Okay? If you say, I'm not going to sleep with a man because I don't want to do it, then whenever you are about to be tempted, you will remember that, okay, this is about me. But if it's about the man, whenever the man is upset, or whenever you feel like saying no to the man would get him upset, you would easily do what you don't want to do. Okay? So that's just it. All right? You can love someone and say no to them. You can love someone and say yes to them. But please, whenever you're loving someone, remember to love yourself and leave room for you to be loved in that relationship. I love you, and I'll see you in the next conversation. Bye.